Hello. Today I have been reading my beloved Cinderella, this beautiful version from 2015. It is called Have Courage and Be Kind, the tale of Disney's Cinderella. I haven't actually fully read this book. I've only kind of flicked through it a little bit, even though I have had it for quite some time. But I decided that I would pick it up today, and there are some really beautiful scenes set very early on in this book to do with Ella and her mother and father in her golden childhood. I find them to be very heartwarming, and so I thought I would come and share them with you. I really hope that you enjoy hearing them. There! Ella's mother cried. Peppy shifted, and at that moment, Peppy's lamb greeted the world. The sheep turned to clean her baby, as Ella's mother and the shepherd cheered. "Here he is!" James exclaimed. "Well done, my love," Ella's mother said, pulling her daughter into a tight hug. Ella watched the little lamb nuzzle against his mother. "He's so sweet," she observed. Then inspiration struck her. "Benedict. We should call him Benedict. Names have power, you know. Magic." James looked at Ella with a twinkle in his eye. "And that is a big name for such a wee lamb." Ella considered this. "Yes, but he will grow," she said matter-of-factly. "Indeed he will," James agreed. "Indeed he will." Just like Benedict, Ella grew, as little lambs and little girls tend to do. 5 years passed, and although Ella was now taller, knew her letters and numbers, in multiple languages at that, and had started to wear shoes more often, her vast imagination and her immense capacity to love did not change. Ella's mother often said that it took a village to keep a home, so Ella made a point of aiding the workers of the household, folding a clean sheet here, adding salt to a soup there, spreading fresh hay in the stables. It should be said that the members of the staff brightened when they saw Ella's shining face. They often observed that by some remarkable instinct, this little girl could sense what others needed at any given time. A funny story, a listening ear, a helping hand. Whatever was needed, Ella tried her best to provide. And whenever Ella received the nods and smiles and embraces of appreciation for her efforts, it warmed her heart. She truly believed that there was nothing better than helping someone or brightening a person's day. I think so too. And she knew that every member of the household would do the same for her if she ever needed help or a good cheering up. Ella also spent her days going on adventures with her very best friend, her mother. They would take long strolls in the countryside, tend to plants in the greenhouse, and ride horses through the pastures. For Ella, there was nothing better than galloping in an open field, the cool wind at her back, her mother at her side. Ella's father was a merchant, and as such was often away on business, but whenever he was home, oh, was it a celebration! He would take her into his study, and they would spend hours reading her favorite books aloud. He would teach her the languages he'd learned on his trips, and show her the world on massive, brightly colored maps. Then, in the evenings, Ella and her mother and father would dance and play and eat hearty feasts prepared by Mother and Flora, using all the ripe vegetables from the garden. The house was never so full of life and music as when the three of them were together. One particular afternoon, Ella was feeding the birds in the back meadow and missing her father terribly. He'd been gone for almost a month and was due back any time. She and her mother had decided that they would make his favorite dessert, pumpkin pudding, when he returned. "You there! What do you think you're doing?" Ella cried out. She had been so distracted thinking of her father that she hadn't noticed the throng of ducks and goats and sheep trying to get at the breadcrumbs before the smaller sparrows and finches had a chance. "Let the little ones have their share," she scolded, moving the larger animals out of the way. She picked up one particular goat who was chomping furiously. "Goliath, do take time to chew your food. We don't want you getting an upset stomach." "Do you still believe they understand you?" Ella turned to see her mother watching over them. Her lips formed into a soft smile. Ella put Goliath down. "Don't they, Mother?" Her mother took a step closer, putting a gentle hand on Ella's shoulder. "Oh yes, I believe that animals listen and speak to us, if only we have the ear for it. That is how we learn to look after them." Ella watched the birds and goats eating their snack, giving one another space to move now. It did seem as though they had listened to her, and Matilda and Edna had remained the captive audience of her stories. But if they looked after the animals, who looks after us? Ella asked. "Fairy godmothers, of course," her mother answered without skipping a beat. "And you believe in them?" Ella asked. "I believe in everything." Ella considered this. "Then I believe in everything too." "Which is just as it should be," Ella's mother said, smiling broadly. But Ella didn't get the chance to continue the conversation with the thrush, for at that very moment they were interrupted by the sound of hoofbeats. Someone was coming. That had to be her father. Her father was finally home. She and her mother exchanged grins. "Run along then," she prompted. After kissing her mother's cheek, Ella rushed down the slope of the meadow toward the forest path her father took to get home. She rounded the curve of the tree-lined trail, spotting her father and his traveling companion, Farmer John, on the horse-drawn cart. She waved as she sprinted toward them. "Papa! Papa!" As soon as he saw her, Ella's father slowed his faithful horse Galahad to a stop and hopped down from the cart. Then he scooped Ella up into his arms and twirled her around. "Welcome home, Papa!" Ella cried. "Ella!" her father exclaimed, tilting her down so she could pat Galahad's muzzle and greet Farmer John before leading them to the stone fountain in front of the house. After setting Ella on the fountain's edge, Father reached into his coat and produced a small green parcel. "What is it?" Ella asked. "Oh, nothing but a cocoon. I found it hanging on a tree," he replied. Ella scrunched her nose, knowing her father was teasing her. He winked before continuing. "But I think there may be something inside." Ella grinned. Then she carefully opened the ornate wrapping. Inside she found a pretty toy butterfly on a golden handle. It was extraordinary, a creature composed of soft lavenders and blush pinks. Ella marveled at the gift. It was so delicate it looked as though it might fall apart by a mere touch. Ella's father grabbed the gleaming handle and jiggled the butterfly around Ella's head. It flapped and fluttered easily, clearly much sturdier and more capable than it looked. Ella clapped her hands in delight. "In French, that is, un papillon," he explained, continuing the French lesson they'd started before he left. "Un papillon," Ella repeated, her eyes still trained on the toy butterfly. At that moment, Ella's mother appeared at the front of the house, a smile on her face as she watched her two favorite people in the world. She always insisted that Ella and her father greet one another first. "Très bon," Ella's father was saying, praising his daughter's French. Setting the toy butterfly on the fountain, he nimbly hopped to his feet and offered his hand. "Voulez-vous danser, mademoiselle?" Ella giggled. "S'il vous plaît." Placing her small feet upon her father's large-booted ones, the pair waltzed up to Ella's mother. Ella's mother started to sing, producing a sweet tune for their dance. When they got closer to the house, Ella and her father opened their formation, gesturing for Ella's mother to join them. Ella's mother beamed. The three of them danced and sang, laughing as they circled round and round, hands clasped. From afar, they looked like a trio of bright moving colours against the blue sky and beige stone walls, a watercolour painting of happiness itself. And those are just a few of the moments that I have been reading in this beautiful book that I really wanted to share with you. How does it make you feel? For me, when I read these words and this story, I always feel like I'm in such a dream, the most beautiful dream, and it paints such a beautiful picture in my head. And speaking of pictures, they do have a few lovely illustrations in here as well, like this one of Ella and her dear mother, and this one. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and for me that rings very true when it comes to this one. Well, that's all I have for now, but if you would like me to come back and read more of this beautiful tale with you, I would be very happy to. Until then, remember to have courage and be kind, because wherever there is kindness, there is goodness, and where there is goodness, there's magic.